Laughter and music filled the compound as family and friends gathered under the decorated canopy. It was a bright Saturday morning, and the naming ceremony was already in full swing. Women in colorful lace wrappers danced, elders prayed, and trays of food moved between chatting guests. Amara sat quietly on the cushioned chair, her face glowing with joy and exhaustion. She held her newborn son in her arms, wrapped in soft white cloth. After 9 long months and hours of labor, this moment felt like magic. Her husband, David, stood proudly beside her, shaking hands and thanking guests. "I'm so happy for you," Rita said, leaning in to kiss Amara's cheek. She smiled wide, but her eyes didn't match her mouth. There was something cold there, hidden beneath the surface. Still, Amara nodded and returned the smile. Rita was David's older sister, bold, sharp-tongued, and never truly warmed toward her. "It's a beautiful day," Amara said softly, rocking her baby. A priest called for the traditional blessing, where each baby is passed among the elders for prayers. As custom demanded, Amara was led away briefly to change into a second outfit for the final part of the ceremony. She hesitated but handed her baby to the women organizing the rite. Rita stood nearby, watching closely. Inside the house, Amara changed quickly. The song of drums and cheers outside kept the energy high. She hurried back, heart full, eager to hold her baby again. When she returned, the ceremony had moved on. Her son had already been passed through several hands. An aunt gently returned the baby to her arms. "There, Mama," she said with a smile. "Your prince has been blessed." Amara looked down at her baby, his face peaceful and soft. Something inside her fluttered, but she brushed it aside. Maybe it was just nerves. Later that evening, while changing his clothes, Amara paused. Her eyes scanned his tiny body. She remembered seeing a faint scar-like birthmark on his upper thigh when he was born. She checked now. Nothing. Just smooth, perfect skin. Maybe she was mistaken. Maybe it was just swelling from birth. She told herself not to worry. But deep inside, a quiet question began to grow. Amara grew up in a small town, raised by parents who taught her to be kind, respectful, and hardworking. She didn't come from money, but she had big dreams. She worked her way through school, became a teacher, and carried herself with quiet confidence. When she met David at a wedding, everything changed. David was from a wealthy, well-known family in Lagos. He was soft-spoken and kind, and he loved how different Amara was from the girls he usually met. Their connection grew quickly, and soon they were married. But marrying into his family came with challenges. From the beginning, Amara felt like an outsider. David's family, especially his mother and sister, looked down on her simple background. His mother made comments about her clothes, her quiet ways, and her lack of class. But the worst was Rita, David's older sister, who never hid her dislike. "She's not one of us," Rita once told their mother when she thought Amara wasn't listening. David could have done better. Still, Amara tried to win their hearts. She cooked for them, showed respect, and stayed polite, even when they ignored her. David defended her at first. He told her to be patient, that things would get better. And for a while, she believed him. When she got pregnant, David was overjoyed. He became more loving than ever, and for the first time, Amara felt like she truly belonged. The pregnancy was hard, but she looked forward to motherhood with hope and excitement. After the naming ceremony, life slowly returned to normal. They named their son Toby, a joyful name, meaning God is great. Everyone seemed happy, but Amara couldn't shake a strange feeling that started to grow inside her. At first, it was little things. When she held Toby, sometimes it didn't feel natural. His cries didn't stir the deep instinct she expected to feel. Breastfeeding was hard. He often refused her and cried for hours. She blamed herself. Maybe it was just new mom stress. Maybe she wasn't doing something right. Postpartum stress is normal, her doctor said. Give it time. David began to pull away too. He stayed late at work more often and stopped helping with the baby. When she tried to talk, he told her she was imagining problems. "You just need rest, Amara," he said, always brushing off her concern. Meanwhile, Rita visited often with her daughter, Zara. Zara was around the same age as Toby, born just a few days before. She was a sweet girl, always smiling when she saw Amara. Oddly, Amara felt a strange closeness to her, a warmth she hadn't felt with her own son. One day, as Zara sat on her lap, playing with her necklace, Amara looked at her closely. The girl's eyes, nose, even her small hands, they reminded her of her own baby pictures. For a second, she felt dizzy. The thought that came to her mind was too strange to speak out loud. "No," she whispered to herself. "It's just a coincidence." But that quiet feeling in her heart, the one she had tried to... It started with a phone call from Rita. "Zara hasn't been feeling well," she said. "She's been tired all the time. The doctor is doing more tests." Amara felt worried. Despite everything, she cared about Zara. The little girl had a special place in her heart. A few days later, Rita came over looking stressed. "They found something," she said. "The doctor says Zara has a rare blood condition, Something about sickle cell traits, but strange. Amara sat up straight. Sickle cell? That runs in my family, she said slowly. My uncle and cousin have it. Rita frowned. What do you mean? It doesn't run in ours. There was a pause. A long one. Amara's heart started to beat faster. She didn't want to say it, but the words came out anyway. Did the doctor say it's genetic? Yes, Rita said, annoyed. He said one parent must carry the trait. Amara nodded slowly. A chill passed through her. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She lay awake, her mind spinning. If Zara had a condition that could only come from her side, how could she be Rita's child? She turned to David, who was scrolling on his phone. David, she said, sitting up. There's something I need to ask you. What is it? He replied without looking at her. Zara has a blood condition that runs in my family, not Rita's. How is that possible? David finally looked at her, confused. What are you trying to say? I don't know yet, Amara said carefully. But something doesn't add up. David sighed. Amara, please. You're tired. You're always overthinking. I'm not overthinking, she said. From the day of the naming, I've always had a strange feeling. He shook his head. Zara is not your child, Amara. Don't start this madness. Amara didn't speak again. She turned away, her chest tight. Tears slipped quietly down her face. Later, when David had fallen asleep, Amara got out of bed and opened the drawer where she kept old photos. She searched through them, her fingers shaking, until she found what she was looking for, a picture taken at the naming ceremony. There, in Rita's arms, was a baby. Zara. Amara stared closely. She zoomed in on the leg, just beneath the cloth. Her heart stopped. A small, scar-shaped birthmark, clear as day, on the upper thigh. The same one she remembered seeing on her own baby after giving birth. The birthmark that was no longer on Toby. Amara sat frozen for a long time, the photo shaking in her hand. Suddenly, the truth didn't feel like madness anymore. The courtroom was quiet, tense. Amara sat on one side with her lawyer, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Across from her, Rita looked calm and confident, dressed in a fine suit, her chin slightly raised. David sat behind them, unsure where he belonged. Rita's lawyer stood first, speaking with boldness. There is no proof that Zara is not my client's biological child. The DNA test is questionable, and the claims made by the plaintiff are emotionally driven and unstable. Amara felt her stomach turn. She had expected this. Then it was her lawyer's turn. He stood up and nodded to the judge. We have more than DNA, Your Honor. We have a witness. Someone who was present at the naming ceremony. A quiet buzz moved through the courtroom as an elderly woman slowly walked forward. The old midwife. She was nervous but firm. I was there that day, she said. During the prayers, I saw Miss Rita carry one of the babies into the house. When she came out, something felt wrong. I saw the babies were switched. Gasps filled the room. Why didn't you say anything then? The judge asked. I was paid to stay quiet, the woman admitted, her voice shaking. I needed the money, but I have lived with guilt ever since. And when Amara came to me, I knew I had to tell the truth. Rita's lawyer stood up quickly. This is just hearsay. She has no proof. But the judge held up a hand. We will allow it, and we will investigate this further. Rita shifted in her seat. Her hands began to tremble. Amara's lawyer continued. He brought out more evidence. The photo with the birthmark, the video showing Rita taking the baby away alone, and messages between family members hinting at what had happened. The room was no longer silent. Everyone could see the truth beginning to unfold. Finally, the judge looked at Rita. Do you have anything to say? Rita stood up slowly. Her face was pale, her voice tight. I didn't do anything wrong. I raised Zara as my own. She's happy. She's healthy. But she's not your child, the judge said gently. Suddenly, David stood up from the back. His voice was quiet but clear. I always knew something was wrong, he said. Zara reminded me of Amara. And Toby. I always wondered why he never really felt like my son. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to see the truth. Rita turned sharply. You're turning on me now? David shook his head. You took something that wasn't yours, from your own brother. The judge looked at the papers again, then at Amara. I am ordering a full investigation, he said. For now, Zara will be placed in the care of her biological mother. The court will continue to review custody and possible criminal charges. Rita sat back in her seat, defeated. Amara closed her eyes, tears falling freely. For the first time in years, the truth had been spoken aloud, and it could. Diana packed her last box and looked around the small apartment. It wasn't big, but it was hers. For the first time in 10 years, she felt like she could breathe again. The walls were light yellow, the curtains simple, and the windows let in a lot of sunlight. It was quiet, peaceful, a new beginning. Her first night alone was strange. No shouting. No waiting for a husband who would never come home. No pretending everything was okay. She sat on the floor, ate noodles straight from the pot, and laughed quietly at herself. It wasn't perfect, but it was free. She bought a new journal and began writing again. Not just about her pain, but about her healing. She joined a few online communities for women dealing with infertility, and after a few weeks, she started her own support group. She called it Not Broken. At first, only 5 women joined, but they shared deep stories, real pain, betrayal, lies from partners, pressure from families, women who had been called cursed, women who had been abandoned. Every message Diana received touched her heart. "This group saved me," one woman wrote. "I thought I was alone." Diana replied, "You're not. You never were." She spent hours each week responding to messages, sharing her story, and posting kind, honest advice. It became her therapy, her strength. A few months later, something changed in her. One night, she was sitting in her room, reading a legal blog about emotional abuse and marriage law, and a thought came into her mind. Maybe she could become a lawyer. At first, she laughed. Law school? At her age? After everything? But the thought didn't leave her. The next week, she talked to her lawyer, the same woman who had helped her through the divorce. The woman smiled and said, "You'd be perfect. Your story alone could change lives." So Diana applied. She wasn't sure she would get in, but she wrote her truth in her application letter. Every word came from her soul. 3 months later, she received an email. "Congratulations, you've been accepted." She cried, then laughed, then cried again. She began preparing for classes, buying books, and creating a study schedule. Her life was full again, not with pain, but with purpose. Around this time, she ran into someone from her past, an old college friend named Elijah. He was now a single dad to a sweet little girl named Maya. They met for coffee and ended up talking for hours. There was no pressure, no judgment, just kindness and honesty. Elijah didn't ask about her past right away. He just listened when she was ready. He brought flowers to their second meeting, not roses, sunflowers. "You look like you needed sunshine," he said. He didn't try to fix her. He respected her space. Maya liked her too, always running up for hugs. Diana smiled more now. Her laughter came easily. Meanwhile, Marcus's life had taken a different turn. Word had spread. People in the community no longer defended him. He lost his job at the church and several business deals fell through. Friends distanced themselves. Even his mother, once his strongest supporter, had stopped calling as often. He tried to reach out. He sent Diana long messages. He called from different numbers. He sent her letters, asking for a second chance. But Diana didn't respond. She blocked every number. Her lawyer helped file a no-contact order. That part of her life was over. The final divorce hearing was short. The judge reviewed all the evidence, the lies, the emotional abuse, the cheating. He granted Diana full rights to the shared property, savings, and even emotional damages. Marcus sat there silent. He didn't speak a word as the judge signed the papers. Diana walked out of the courtroom with her lawyer, her head held high. It was done. She wasn't the same woman she had been a year ago. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't broken. She was becoming who she was always meant to be. In her new apartment, she pinned her law school acceptance letter on the wall, next to a small photo of her support group's first online meeting. Under it, she wrote in bold letters, "Turning pain into power." Life was not easy. There were still hard days, moments of sadness. But now there was hope too. There was growth. There was purpose. Diana was healing, and helping others heal too. The final court decision came 2 weeks later. Amara sat in the same courtroom, heart racing, hands cold. This time, Zara sat beside her, holding her hand gently. The little girl didn't understand everything, but she knew something had changed. The judge looked at Amara and spoke clearly. Based on all the evidence and the completed investigation, this court grants full custody of Zara to her biological mother, Mrs. Amara Obi. Amara closed her eyes. A deep breath left her chest. She held Zara close, whispering, "We're going home." Outside the court, Rita was led away in handcuffs. The charges were serious: child endangerment, fraud, and interfering with official record. Her face looked empty. No words left her lips. She didn't fight. She didn't cry. It was over. Amara didn't celebrate. She didn't feel joy in Rita's fall. Only sadness. A deep, heavy kind. Because this could have been avoided. They could have been family. Instead, years were stolen, for no reason but pride and pain. Back at home, Amara sat with Toby and Zara. She had explained everything as simply as she could, with warmth and honesty. "You are both my children," she told them. "One by blood, one by heart, and I will love you the same. Always." Toby had asked, "But does that mean she takes my place?" Amara smiled gently. "No. No one takes your place, Toby. You are my son. I raised you. I held you when you cried. I was there for your first steps. That will never change." He nodded slowly, then looked at Zara. She smiled at him. Something quiet passed between them. Maybe it would take time, but they would get there. A few days later, David came to visit. He stood at the door, holding flowers and looking tired. "I'm sorry," he said, "for not believing you, for not protecting our family." Amara let him in, let him speak. She listened, and when he finished, she spoke calmly. I forgive you, David. Truly, I do. But I can't go back. Too much has happened. I need peace now. For me. For the children. He nodded slowly. I understand. They stood in silence for a while. Then he hugged Toby and Zara, whispered a soft goodbye, and left. Life slowly began to settle. Amara enrolled Zara in a new school. Toby helped her with homework. The house was fuller now. Louder. But warmer too. Amara stood in her garden one evening, watching the sun go down. She had lost much, but she had also found something strong inside herself. Something unbreakable. She had chosen truth. The years passed gently. Life became quieter, softer. The pain faded, though the memory stayed. Amara found peace in small things. Morning tea, school runs, laughter in the kitchen. One sunny afternoon, she sat on the porch, watching Zara and Toby playing in the yard. They chased each other, laughing, their voices full of joy. They had grown so much, strong, kind, full of life. Zara ran up to her, her hair bouncing, her eyes bright. Mom, she said, sitting beside Amara and resting her head on her shoulder. Yes, my love? Zara was quiet for a moment, then asked, Do you ever wish I stayed with Aunt Rita? Amara turned to look at her. Her heart ached at the question. She took Zara's hands in hers and smiled, though her eyes filled with tears. No, she said softly. Never. I only wish I'd found you sooner. Zara hugged her tightly, and Amara held her close, breathing in the sweet scent of her hair. In that moment, all the pain, the fight, the loss, it felt far away. She had her daughter. She had her son. And she had herself, whole again. Hey besties. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Amara's story shows how truth and love can heal even the deepest wounds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more emotional drama stories. See you in the next one. Her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip. She booked one seat beside. Bye.